Gopi Janavalabha Girdhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanashai Jamuna Tira Vanashai Jaya Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Jayom Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Pratyak-praśānta-dhīr, Sri Shivan, ISKCON BBT founder, Acharya Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhupada, Om Vishnupad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda, Ki Jai. Nama Acharya, Srila Haridas Thakur, Ki Jai. Prem Sakahosh, Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu, Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Bhadra Bhumanabhadam Ki Jai. Shri Nabadip Mai Bordam Ki Jai. Shri New Dwarkadam Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. What's beautiful worship? Shri Shukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Shri Shukmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Samabeta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai. ISKCON Los Angeles Yatra Ki Jai. Brihan Bharanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Gaur Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavad-gītā shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, whose worship will transcend all songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing our reading from the third canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 24. Kṛṣṇa Muni's pronunciation, but I have the wrong verse in front of me. Let me just find the right verse here. It should be 44, right? Okay, let me find 44. Somehow or other I had 34 on my screen. Okay, here we go. Nirahaṅkṛtir nirmamaś. Nirahaṅkṛtir nirmamaś. Nirdvandvaḥ sama-dṛk sva-dṛk. Pratyak-praśānta-dhīr dhīraḥ. praśāntormir ivodadhiḥ. nirahaṅkṛtir nirmamaś. Nirdvandvaḥ sama-dṛk sva-dṛk. pratyak-praśānta-dhīr dhīraḥ. praśāntormir ivodadhiḥ. nirahaṅkṛtir nirmamaś. nirdvandvaḥ sama-dṛk sva-dṛk. pratyak-praśānta-dhīr dhīraḥ. praśāntormir ivodadhiḥ. Please chant. Vaishnavis. Okay, synonyms. Nirahaṅkṛtiḥ, without false ego. Nirmamaḥ, without material affection. Cha, and. Nirdvandvaḥ, without duality. Sama-dṛk, seeing equality. sva-dṛk, seeing himself. Pratyak, turned inward. Praśānta, perfectly composed. Dhīḥ, mind. Dhīraḥ, sober, not disturbed. Praśānta, calmed. Ūrmiḥ, whose waves. Like. Udadhiḥ, the ocean. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Thus, he gradually became unaffected by the false ego of material identity and became free from material affection. Undisturbed, equal to everyone and without duality, he could indeed see himself also. His mind was turned inward and was perfectly calm, like an ocean, unagitated by waves. Please repeat. Thus, he gradually became unaffected by the false ego of material identity and became free from material affection. Undisturbed, equal to everyone and without duality, he could indeed see himself also. His mind was turned inward and was perfectly calm, like an ocean unagitated by waves. Srila Prabhupada's purport. When one's mind is in full Kṛṣṇa consciousness and one fully engages in rendering devotional service to the Lord, he becomes just like an ocean unagitated by waves. This very example is also cited in Bhagavad-gītā. One should become like the ocean. The ocean is filled by many thousands of rivers, and millions of tons of its water evaporates into clouds. Yet the ocean is the same unagitated ocean. The laws of nature may work, but if one is fixed in devotional service at the lotus feet of the Lord, he is not agitated, for he is introspective. He does not look outside to material nature, but he looks in to the spiritual nature of his existence. With a sober mind, he simply engages in the service of the Lord. Thus, he realizes his own self without false identification with matter and without affection for material possessions. Such a great devotee is never in trouble with others because he sees everyone from the platform of spiritual understanding. He sees himself and others in the right perspective. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadeshtarine Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishang Shapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishavangscha Shri Rupam Sagadatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vatam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vatangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Shah Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So who's speaking here? I knew we would lose track. One day we go to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, now we come back to this chapter and everybody forgets. Who's speaking at this point? Maitreya Muni. Okay, so let's go back and see where he starts speaking, and then we'll just recap up to this point. So we're in 44 today. I think he started speaking back in 41. Sri Maitreya said, thus when Kardama Muni, the progenitor of human society, very important point, we don't have any monkeys in our background. Our progenitors go back through Kardama Muni all the way to Brahma, all the way back to Krishna. So, the progenitor of human society was spoken to in fullness by his son, Kapila. He circumambulated him, and with a good, pacified mind, he at once left for the forest. So again, pacified mind. Obviously, that's a very important point in this section. Then text 42. The sage Kardama accepted silence as a vow in order to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and take shelter of him exclusively. Without association, he traveled over the surface of the globe as a sannyasi, devoid of any relationship with fire or shelter. Now, interesting in this verse, in the purport, Prabhupada was describing the characteristics of Mauna, silence. But in that purport, he said, a Muni, so I thought, this is a mistake. It should be Mauni, because there is such a Sanskrit word. So I contacted Dravida, but he said, no, in this case, Muni, because one of the characteristics of a Muni is that a Muni is silent, meaning that they don't talk nonsense. Mauni, the Sanskrit word Mauni, long I on the end, means silence. And in Bengali, it means a silent one. So there really is such a word, Mauni, and I thought that should have been the right word there, but that's why we have a senior editor. Yeah, Mauna is the name of the practice. Mauna means, like he did in this case, he took a vow of silence. But from the Vaishnava perspective, silence doesn't mean that you don't talk. It means you just don't talk nonsense. So, all right, and then 43, he fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman, who is beyond cause and effect, who manifests three modes of material nature, who is beyond those three modes, and who is perceived only through unfailing devotional service. And then today, thus he gradually became unaffected by the false ego of material identity and became free from material affection. Undisturbed, equal to everyone, and without duality, he could indeed see himself also. His mind was turned inward and was perfectly calm like an ocean, unagitated by waves. So these characteristics are generally emphasized when we're speaking about the impersonalists. Remember, there are two kinds of impersonalists. There are the Mayavadis who think everything is Maya in this world. Even when the Lord comes, they think he accepts a material form, and therefore they're offenders. They're saying, yeah, Krishna may have been a great personality, but ultimately he's just one of us. He had a material body like we did. That's an offense. And then there are the Brahmavadis. They are searching for the truth, and they come to this point of understanding that there's a difference between matter and spirit, but they don't yet see Bhagavan, the supreme source of both. So they're not necessarily offenders. And the speaker of the Bhagavatam is actually initially put into that classification. He is glorified as having these qualities, equality of mind, singing. There's a verse that says that. Sahaputra Mahayogi Samadrin Nirvikalpakai. Ekantamatir Unidro Gudo Kapat Manusha. No. Guda Mudha Ivayate. That Sukadeva Goswami, he had these qualities, seeing everything equally, everyone equally, undisturbed in mind, very fixed. But because he was inexperienced, and remember when he left home, he was only 16 years old, then people saw him as being just foolish. They didn't realize, and again, he wasn't interacting normally, so, you know, it's like you see so many of them go by here. They're actually not on the same level. They're just crazy. But to people in that time, in those days, Sukadeva Goswami seemed like a not together person because he was walking around naked and not speaking to anybody like that. So when you see somebody like that, it seems that they're, so, Guda Muda Ivayate, Iva Iyate. He seemed like he was not together. Nowadays, it's hard to tell. I've said this before, but it's a fact. You see people going by, and they're talking, and they're gesticulating, and you're wondering, is this guy crazy, or is he actually having a phone conversation? Because nowadays they do that, right? They have the earpiece, the phone is attached by Bluetooth, so they don't have to speak into it. And they're walking down the street talking loudly, and you know, many people speak with their hands. They can't speak without moving their hands, so they're moving their hands and they're speaking. But that's not the case here. Kardama Muni is fully realized at this point. The Lord has appeared. He's seen the Lord twice. Before his marriage, the Lord appeared before him and told him what was going to happen. And now the Lord has again appeared in the form of his son. Kapila Deva. Remember, no Hinduization. Kapila Deva. So Kapila Dev has spoken to Kardamuni, assured him that what his future is going to be, and also assured him that he was going to pass on this knowledge to his mother, Devahuti. Because at the end of the previous chapter, she had lamented that she had not taken full advantage of her association with her great husband. So hung Bhagavato Nunam, that verse. So Kapila Deva is assuring him, don't worry, I will take care of my mother, your, at this point, sannyas widow. Because once the man leaves home as a sannyasi, he's not supposed to associate with his wife again. And Prabhupada showed that example perfectly. He left his home, went to Vrindavan, and then ultimately came west, and no more contact with the wife. Later on, in later years, his son made contact, which is okay, but no contact with the wife. Son actually, Vrindavan, I met one of his sons, Vrindavan Day in Mayapur, very nice gentleman. We had one little pastime together. Jayapataka Maharaj was leading a visit to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's home across the Jalangi. So myself and this Vrindavan Day and Ambarish and a few other godbrothers, we all went. But as you see, I'm always running around taking pictures. I was taking pictures, and when you get to that compound, there's a metal fence and a gate that you have to go through. But there's like a really low bar. So I wasn't watching, and I'm taking pictures. I hit my head on that bar. Fortunately, there was no blood. But I remember Ambarish saying, hey, you okay? I was a little bit stunned. So, yes, leaving home, no more contact with the wife, fixed in mind, fixed in vision. This is a spiritual platform which we all are on naturally. This is our natural state of existence, to see everyone equally. Because if you understand and realize, not just theoretically understand, but realize that you are a spirit soul, eternal part and parcel of God, then you immediately see everybody like that. So, Sachitanoi, you're seeing everybody here in this room as a spirit soul? When you think of Savas, do you think of him as a spirit soul or just that temple president? And Savas, are you thinking of everybody here as a spirit soul? So we can test ourselves. This is the beauty of bhakti. You don't need to go to somebody else and ask them, how am I doing? Just test your own consciousness. When you see everyone in this room, are you thinking here is a spirit soul, part and parcel of Kṛṣṇa, and interacting with them on that level? Or are you thinking, how can I use this person for my sense gratification? Because that's the extreme opposite. When we're in material consciousness, we're always calculating. The mind is always going. As Kṛṣṇa says in Bhagavad-gītā, you cannot stop thinking even for a second. The mind is always rolling. But when the mind is materially motivated, materially conditioned, we're always calculating how to get ahead. Yes, I'm a nice person, I give this and I give that, but my motivation is me first. What is in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? Should I invest my time, energy, money in this situation? Only if the ROI, return on investment, is favorable for me. Always thinking me, 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 me. The spiritualist is thinking Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa. And because they're thinking Kṛṣṇa, then everything they see in relation to Kṛṣṇa. It's not that when the pure devotee is walking down the street, they don't see a tree, they don't see the car, they're just seeing like energy. No, they're seeing all the manifestations, but they know fully well that this tree has been cursed to stand here because of their previous bad activities. This is a living entity who is now forced to stand. Stavara Lakshavintati, 20 lakhs or 2 million types of living entities who are forced to stand in one place. So when they're calculating what are the oldest living beings on this planet, they always come back to the trees. There are trees that they have calculated are like 4,000 years old, 5,000 years old. But just can you imagine? So it seems fantastic. Whoa, if I could live for 5,000. But would you like to live standing in one place? And not just standing, being completely unable to defend yourself from the weather, whether it snows or rains or wind or whatever. You can't do anything about it. You just have to stand there and take it. And then these foolish human beings come along and they cut your branches off. They carve their names into your, J loves V or whatever. They carve all these things into you and you can't do anything about it. Imagine if you were standing in this temple room and somebody came and pulled your ear or slapped you on the head and you can't do anything. You just fixed. But that doesn't mean that they're unconscious. There have been tests that show that trees are actually conscious. Famous one is that when you have a forest, so there's the beginning of the forest, so when in the beginning of the forest, when those trees are infected by some disease or insects or something, somewhere or other they pass the signal on to the other trees and they start preparing some chemical defense. So how do they do that if they're not conscious? It's not just chemicals, water getting sucked up into, no, there's a plan. There's a plan, and this is what the modern scientists can't see. And every day they come up with something, we just realized, and now we have to revise our former theories. And no, just kick it all out and accept what the Vedas have to say, that there's a supreme person from whom everything is emanating, and who is the supreme controller. You like to try to control everything, but we always fail. We have to admit. We try to control our minds, we fail. We try to control other people's minds, right? I'm not successful at controlling my own mind, but I want to tell you how to think. Yeah, so it's a losing proposition. So the devotees, like Kardama Muni, they're very, very fortunate that they're completely surrendered to the Lord, and therefore the Lord gives them full shelter. And you can only be undisturbed in mind when you feel fully sheltered. If you're worried about anything, your neighbor, and nowadays you have to worry because people are vicious. So many vicious stories in the news, I don't even want to tell you if you don't watch the news or hear the news from the computer or whatever. But right here in Los Angeles recently, so many vicious things have happened. It's just unthinkable how people can, the living entity, pure soul, part and parcel of Krishna, can become so covered by Maya that they viciously attack each other. So in the animal kingdom, they don't have any choice, because to eat, they have to attack. The monkeys are attacking the trees and taking their leaves and eating them. And the trees come up with defenses. They have, many leaves are poisonous, but by nature's arrangement, the monkeys have certain digestive power that they can digest these poisonous leaves. And then you have the lions attacking the, hoofed animals. So in general, the Bhagavatam informs us, ahastani sahastanam, apadani chatuspadam, palguni tatra mahatam, jivo jivasya jivanam. Ahastani sahastanam. Those who have no hands, they become food for those who have hands. But sometimes the opposite. Like snakes, they don't have any hands, but sometimes they grow so big they can kill even human beings and eat them. Aparani chatuspadam. Those who have no legs become food for the four-legged. But again, sometimes just the opposite happens. Palguni tatra mahatam. The general rule is jivo jivasya jivanam. One living being becomes food for another. You cannot exist in this material world without eating some other living entity. So we're also taking living plants and eating them. But we're not just eating them. We first of all offer. We offer, and that removes any sin that's attached to it. Otherwise, just to be a vegetarian, again, there are so many monkeys and other animals who are vegetarian. It's not a big achievement just to be a vegetarian. One has to be a Krishnatarian. Whatever you offer, Krishna says, whatever you eat, you do it as an offering to me. Also, yoga shishtashan akshanta muchante sarvakilbishai. That if you don't do that, then you're eating only sin. If you eat just for your own satisfaction, I like this, I don't like that. Well, again, just me. But Krishna says, no. Where is all this coming from? All this grain and everything that edible out there, it's coming from me. And therefore, just out of gratitude, if not out of love, you should offer it to me. So this is very important. This is one of the principles that we must establish in society, that it's not okay just to eat vegetarian. We're not promoting vegetarianism, Prabhupada said. We promote what Krishna wants. Whatever Krishna says, patram pusham palam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. Whatever Krishna says is okay to offer him, we offer him. And then we can enjoy. We don't cook just for enjoyment. We cook to please Krishna, and then we enjoy the results. Now, Prabhupada does say in one place that when you're in the temple, you cook what Krishna wants to eat. Which means there's a tradition. If you go to Jagannath Puri, there's a tradition. So you plug into that tradition. In New Dwarka, there's a tradition. So whatever this tradition is, Raj Bhoga means 2 sabjis, It used to mean chapati or puri. Nowadays, you're lucky if you get that. But 2 sabjis, rice, dal, chapati or puri, a sweet. This is, every temple has a tradition. That's what Kṛṣṇa, that's what Rukmini Dwarkadish wants to eat. So when you cook for them, you cook what they want to eat. Or like those who cook for Prabhupada realize you have to cook what Prabhupada wants. You don't just go in the kitchen and there's a bunch of veggies and you chop them up and throw them together. No. Prabhupada wants a specific thing. Today I want sukta, or I want baigan, and I want whatever. So you have to know how to make that. And if you didn't know, Prabhupada would show you how to make it. So it's the same thing when you're cooking for the deities. You have to know how to make specific preparations. Palak paneer or whatever it is. You have to know how to make specific things. Not just throw things together and call it a sabji. That was not Prabhupada's approach. But Prabhupada said when you cook at home, then you can cook what you like to eat. Still you have to offer it, but you can cook what you like. If today you feel like having pizza, okay, you make a nice pizza. Make sure all the ingredients are kosher. Right? It can't be offered if it's not offerable, which sometimes the devotees forget to read the labels and they literally offer things that are not offerable. Something has eggs in it or whatever, they just didn't bother to read the label and they offer it. I've given this example many times. There was one incident here where the Sankirtan leader, at the end of the year, Sankirtan festival, wanted to, of course, please the Sankirtan devotees, so made a nice feast. And at the end of the feast, you have to have something sweet, so why not buy some ice cream for the devotees? So he went shopping, and he forgot, because normally the devotees at that time, I don't know if it's still okay, Breyer's vanilla was okay to offer. It was just cream, sugar, and whatever, nothing weird. So he went to buy Breyer's, but then he was thinking, why just buy regular Breyer's? Let me buy Breyer's French vanilla, something nicer than just regular vanilla. But fortunately, when he came back, one of the devotees read the label and said, "Excuse me, Prabhu, French vanilla has eggs in it." So we have to remember always, read the label. Don't just buy something and because it looks like it's vegetarian, you offer it. So we have to follow the principles as given to us. Don't speculate. If we want to have peace of mind, that peace of mind is derived by feeling protected, and that feeling of protection comes when we actually surrender. When we surrender. So Marshitaye Padapalava Plavam, Mahatpadam Punya Yashora Morari. That Krishna's lotus feet are so large, they cover the entire universe. They can give shelter to the entire universe. And they're just like a boat that can take us across the ocean of birth and death. Bhavamburi Vatsapadam Parampadam. Padampadam Yatvivadam Natesham. Now the ocean of birth and death is so vast you can't see the other shore. It's not possible. Vaitarani River, separating the spiritual world from the material world, is so vast you cannot see. Sometimes even a material river, you're standing on one side of the Ganges in some areas, you can't see the other shore, it's so far away. So the river that separates the material world from the spiritual world is so vast, you can't see the other end, and you can't take a regular boat and go across. But when we take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, it becomes shrunken just to the size of the footprint of a calf. Those of you who have been in rural areas, a calf, it's just a little, and how much water can fit in there. That's how small the ocean of material birth and death becomes. You step right over it. So Kardama Muni is feeling peaceful in mind because he's been assured by the Lord everything is okay. He's meditating on the Lord. He's seeing Krishna everywhere. He's taken this vow of silence. That doesn't mean that he never spoke to anybody after that. That's not what silence means for a devotee. Silence for a devotee means never speak any nonsense. Only Krishna Katha, Krishna-related topics. Nothing outside of that. We're not into standing around talking politics or sports or this or that. That's not what motivates devotees. Doesn't mean he can't be aware of those things. Prabhupada again demonstrated himself that he was aware of his political history in India. He was aware of American political history. In English, British political history, he knew it. But that wasn't his motivation to tell people which party to vote for and who is better than whom. And that was not Prabhupada's motivation. Because he said, even devotees at one point formed a political party, the In God We Trust party, right? They wanted to show that if you want to trust in God, you have to know God. So Prabhupada said, encourage them, yes, it's nice, but even if you capture the top position, Prabhupada said, what are you going to do if the people are ignorant? As soon as you tell them, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, they're going to drag you down. So a better approach is to teach the public at large, and that's where Sankirtan Yoga, that's at Sankirtan Yoga for this age. Give them the holy name, give them philosophy, give them prasadam especially, make them fortunate by having them take prasadam, and then gradually the consciousness changes. So we can stop here. Any questions on any of these points? Yes, Prema Sankirtan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You know, we like devotees has to be very much fixed in Krishna consciousness, with knowledgeable as much as possible, like to be pure devotee. But you know, sometimes this tendency, you know, if you travel somewhere, you know, nature, you know, you try to enjoy your so beautiful nature, you know, you forget that this is actually Krishna's energy. Or you go on the street and you see beautiful woman, you know, very nice looking woman, and, you know, it's very, very easy to forget, you know, that there's just skeleton inside, there's like 5 elements, gross, okay? So how to, at that moment when you forget, you know, what is catch? Can you give some advice? What is catch to remember? You know that. Oh, wait, this Krishna's energy. It is not. It's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, that's why our philosophical presentation begins with sambandha. Sambandha means understanding who you are, and then by extension, who everybody else, and what's actually going on in this world. So when we go down to the ocean, we're not thinking, oh, here's a nice body of water to go surfing or sailing or whatever. We understand what's going on. Within that water, there's a continual struggle for existence. Big fish eating small fish, you know, it's just a struggle for existence. It's not a beautiful, wonderful, same thing anywhere you go. In the forest, like we said, the trees are standing there minding their own business, but they get attacked by insects. Or human beings come and cut them. You know, it's just always a struggle for existence everywhere. So seeing that and understanding and experiencing that, it's not theoretical. We all experience this struggle for existence. We would like this body to stay young and beautiful and free from disease forever. But it doesn't work that way. By design, every material body takes a birth, grows, struggles for existence, stays for some time, dwindles, and then dies. And that's the lucky ones. If you're not lucky, death comes even just immediately after birth. Or you're cruising along as a 35-year-old young man driving your car, and you're minding, you're trying your best not to have it, but boom, somebody else spaces out or is drunk or intoxicated, and like that you die. So it's a struggle for existence. We should see that. If you forget that, then yes, you get back into this mood of trying to enjoy the beautiful nature, and like everybody, the sun, everybody likes, but because of human bad activities, the ozone layer is burned off in many places, and the sun, you feel like you're in a microwave oven, isn't it? I remember as a child, I've said this many times, I was born in Jamaica. As a child, you could be on the beach all day, running around playing, no problem. Nowadays, you go out for 5 minutes and you feel like your head is burning. And it's not just, you know, some weird feeling, it's a fact. Because the ozone layer is depleted, all these harmful rays are coming from the sun and hitting everything. So it's not a place to stick around and enjoy. And it's not a place to stick. That's why Prabhupada said, take care of your business, finish your business in this lifetime. Go back to the real place of enjoyment, the spiritual world, where the beauty of a woman or a man, it's permanent, it's eternal. It's not phantasmagoria. It's not just modes of nature interacting. So yes, we see the forms in this world, but understanding what's really going on, we don't waste time. It's a waste of time and energy trying to enjoy. Like we were saying, Akasha Pushpa. Akasha means sky, Pushpa is flower. When Mukunda Datta gave class, I pointed that out. Akasha Pushpa, when you throw flowers in the sky, how long do they stay? They go up, and for a fraction of a second, it seems that they're there, and then they come back down. So trying to enjoy in this material world is like that. Trying to enjoy sky flowers. Throw something in the sky and wow, or like fireworks. So many millions of dollars they spend in some places, some cities. And in 2 seconds, boom, it looks good, and all these lights and everything, and The only way you can enjoy it again is if somebody took a picture. There's no real enjoyment anyway. It's just loud noises and garbage littering the street after it's all over. That's the level of material enjoyment. Trying to enjoy garbage. So the pure devotees come and say, stop, Jeev Jago, wake up. Stop trying to enjoy garbage. Come and enjoy reality. Tamasima Jyotir Gamaha. Yes, so Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you for a nice class. In the purport, Papa speaks about, he mentioned this word introspective. And I was wondering if you could give a little bit of insight on that, because, you know, when you just say that word introspective, it's kind of broad in terms of what you should be thinking about. Mm-hmm. So can you say a little something about that? How, you know, in essence, can someone be introspective 24/7? Can someone, or should you do it 1 hour a day? Should it be, you know, so just a little bit of conceptualization. What is this introspective?
Yeah, well, introspection, at least from the non-spiritual viewpoint, means looking at inward, trying to understand inward what's happening. But from our understanding, there's no difference between looking inward and outward if you're seeing Kṛṣṇa. If you're seeing Kṛṣṇa everywhere, antar bahir yadi haris tapasa tatakim. The antar bahir yadi haris tapasa. Narad Muni tells us. If you're seeing Kṛṣṇa inside and outside, antar bahir, outside and inside, then there's no use of austerity. And nantar bahir, if you're not seeing Kṛṣṇa outside and inside, then there's no use to austerity. So some people make a show, like Prabhupada said, they go to some yoga studio and they sit. They even come here sometimes. They sit down, the deity, beautiful Rukmini Dwarkadish, Jagannath Baladev, Subhadrash, Gauri Nitai, sitting there giving blessings. And they come and they sit with their eyes closed. What a waste of time.
So how that should be applied to a devotee?
So introspection, again, means not just seeing outward, which we tend to do. We see everybody's faults, but we don't see our faults. So Prabhupada suggested that at the end of the day, before you take rest, just go back over everything you've done that day. Think about what you've done, all the interactions especially that you've had with others. And honestly, look at your interactions. If you, in the course of the day, maybe not consciously or deliberately, but you may have offended somebody in some way, then the next day go and apologize. That's the point. To be introspective means looking at your activities and your motivation. Because sometimes the activity can be fine. You come to the program, you chant Hare Krishna, but internally, the motivation hasn't changed yet. An example I use is of devotees that had experience who inherited vast amount of money. The parents died and left them a lot of money. And as soon as they got that check, took off the neck beads, threw away the bead bag, ran out again to enjoy. That means the motivation wasn't solid. So we have to look at not only our activities, what we've done, what we plan to do, but what's motivating me. Am I really motivated by trying to please Srila Prabhupada and the predecessor acharyas, please Kṛṣṇa ultimately? Or am I still fixed on pleasing me most of all? Yeah, I want to go to Bora Bora to preach. Not because I really want to go to Bora Bora to preach, but because I want to go there to enjoy. Like, I've been told, let's go to Cuba. So am I wanting to go to Cuba to actually help the Cubans progress in spiritual life, or do I want to go there just to enjoy Cuban nature? So, you know, like I said, I was born in Jamaica, so when people tell me here, oh, let's go to Hawaii, go see a beach or whatever, I love so many beautiful beaches in Jamaica. I mean, I haven't seen any beach as beautiful as some of the beaches in Jamaica. So I'm not motivated to go to the beach just to see the white sand. And, you know, you can find that anywhere. So ultimately, we have to look at our motivation. Am I here? And we have to be honest. In the beginning, we're not. Chaturbhadabadanti mamjana sukritina arjuna. Artha, jigyasu, artarti, ganicha, bharatarshabha. 4 kinds of people come to Kṛṣṇa. So we have to be honest. Which class am I in? Am I here because I'm in distress? Am I here because I want money? Am I here just because I'm inquisitive? Or am I really motivated to take this process to the full, to the extreme, to the point of full surrender? So everybody that's real introspection, looking at your motives. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And if we're properly motivated, then we can last. We can keep going. If you're not properly motivated, Maya's job is to test you. Prem Sankirtan, you're going out every day, distributing books, but are you really motivated to surrender to Krishna? And Maya will test you. You probably have had many tests in your life. Famous one devotee from Brazil, Sannyasi, told me that he was part of a Sankirtan party. They were going door to door in Rio de Janeiro, and one of their young brahmacharis went to a door and never came back, because inside was a beautiful girl, and that was it. End of book distribution, so we will all be tested. We have all been tested, I'm sure, and the test will continue until we get to the point where we don't fail, not even mentally fail. Everything, and that's the result of proper introspection, that you keep pushing yourself to do better, do better, do better. Is that okay? Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.